Welcome to the Homestead Podcast. You are joining co-hosts Carol and Jamie of twogalshomesteading.com. If you found yourself here, that means you are ready to take responsibility for what you eat, your family's health, and your family's well-being while living a simpler life. You can do this and have fun, saving money along the way. Let them help you unleash the homesteader within. By doing more with less, you will gain what is needed to create confidence, impact, and change in your life and the lives around you. Let's start homesteading. Let's start now.
We'd like to give a special thank you to picosupply.com for sponsoring our podcast. Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Carol.
All right, here we are, another week.
And it's summertime here.
Yes, it's summertime and the gardens are going in. I'm seeing a lot of people planting seeds and somebody just put their potatoes in. I saw not too long ago that she's about 45 minutes from us. So I don't know if that seems a little late for me, but I don't know.
I just put mine in 2 weeks ago. But that's late, yes, but they'll still grow.
Yep, they'll still grow. So we decided we were going to talk a little bit about
getting ready for fall
gardening. It seems weird because you're just getting your stuff in the garden.
I know, yeah.
Now,
but if you're going to put in, if you wait to think about what am I going to put in my fall garden until fall, you won't have a fall garden. I mean, it's just like spring garden. You need to start some plants from seed, and some plants you can direct sow because your soil's warm now. Like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, all those you need to start from seed, and then you need to figure out when.
Yes.
And so while you're in the middle of picking your peas and finishing up taking those spring crops out, or as I didn't even plant them because it went promptly from 50 degrees to almost 90 degrees.
Right.
I opted I don't think I'm going to get anything because they're going to fry.
Right. I was going to say I had a friend of mine who said all her cabbages, or not her cabbages, her lettuces and her kale, everything was bolting for her, and she had them in pots. And so they were eating a lot because she says everything's starting to bolt. And it's the beginning of June for us. That's unusual.
Really early. Really, it's a really strange year for gardening here in Minnesota.
So if we're starting from seed, we need to start kind of planning what we're wanting for a fall garden now.
People say, why have a fall garden? Well, if you had issues, if you had this big dream of an awesome spring garden and it didn't happen for reasons
like weather,
or you're putting in some new infrastructure and so you didn't get some things done.
She sounds like she's talking from experience.
Yes.
And I do know a little bit behind the story there.
And injuries and physical injuries, when you hurt yourself and it's like, dang, that getting older number thingy is happening again. Got most of that done now. So I've got my new tanks put in, my new raised beds put in, and changed out the wooden bed. And so now I'm ready to get the rest of my summer.
So now you had mentioned that you had decided not to put peas in and some of those cool spring crops because it got so hot here. Yeah. So have you replaced that in your garden where the peas were going? Did you put something else in?
Yeah, I decided to put cucumbers there. And then I'm going to plant more peppers, hot peppers, because somebody overplanted peppers. And so
you grew too many seeds.
Yes. And so I have extra tomato plants too. Okay. I will have to find new homes for it, or they will go in the compost. Carol's waving her hand. I only want 3 tomatoes. I think I gave you 3 tomatoes.
You gave me more than three tomatoes, but one of the pepper plants, a bug has eaten it off already.
Oh, okay.
It's just got a little stem and one little leaf hanging there. I'm like, So I'm not exactly sure because I just did put them in pots. I just did container gardening here. So I'm not exactly sure what ate it, or, we've gotten a lot of rain and maybe the rain just
beat it off.
I honestly don't know.
I have no idea how much we've had in the last 2 days. 3 days?
3 days. I think it's rained every day for the 3 days. Off and on here and there.
Yeah. So I don't have my rain gauge out in my garden yet. And so
neither do we.
I'm guesstimating close to over an inch.
Okay. Because you had a downpour. We didn't get that.
Oh, you didn't get a downpour?
Yeah, we didn't get a downpour. So.
Well, we must have got a downpour last night too.
Okay.
Because I had potting soil mixed in with your compost sitting in my wheelbarrow. It is full of water this morning.
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm making compost tea.
That's okay too.
We'll go pour that on the asparagus.
Yes, there you go. Okay. So back to fall gardening.
So why do you want to plant a fall garden? Fall gardens are just like a spring garden. You can go back and plant some of those cool crops, your brassicas, your lettuces, your kales, your peas. You just got to time it, right? So to figure out how to time it, first you want to find your first frost date. Yep. Here it's October 1st. And so then you want to look at the back of your seed packet and look at days of maturity. And then you want to look to see, is it maturity from seeding or is it from transplanting? And so depending on what that is, so you have your day. So radishes are fairly easy. Radishes are usually average 30 days or 25 days, 30 days. And then you want to add, because it's fall and the days are getting shorter and it's getting cooler, it takes longer for your crops to grow. So you need to add at least a week to 2 weeks to that 25 to 30 days.
Oh, I did not know that.
I learned that a few years ago.
Okay.
And then if you need to start it from seed, or if you need to grow them like you would in this wintertime, then you need to add on, do you need to start 4 to 6 weeks before you plant them? So then you're going to need to add that on. And then they say add a week for grace.
Okay, so then I can see where for Minnesota right now that you would be looking at that, because if our first frost date is October 1st.
And you've got 30 days.
30 days, so we'll just use radishes.
Yep.
And you go back 30 days. So now we're
add a week.
We're at September 1st, then we're into the end of August.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And so radishes you could plant first to second week of August and stuff. But if you're going to do cabbage or cauliflower, they're usually average 40 to 50 days, I think.
From plant or from
transplant.
From transplant.
So then you need to have a transplant. So you need to start that front seed. So we need to start them now. We're recording this June 8th, I think we decide to. So you need to be starting those seeds now.
Yeah.
And this will
the next couple weeks.
So if you're going to start them from start your cabbage and things like that you need to have a transplant, you need to start them now. Ideally, you can't stick those in the ground and grow because they will probably fry off in the heat yet that we have to come.
Oh.
So you need to ideally put them in a cool place where it will get some sun, but you don't want it to get the 8-hour baking sun that tomatoes and peppers like.
So a shadier area somewhere.
So I'm going to put up one of my mini little greenhouses on the north side because my house is not square to the world. Mm-hmm. And so it'll get morning sun, but afternoon shade.
Okay. And so that's the hottest part of the day is the afternoon. So that makes total sense.
What I'm going to do. Or, or you put up a shade cloth. If you have a mini little greenhouse, put a shade cloth over it, put a sheet over it, something that will help give it some shade. Or if you don't have anything else, I would say, like they say, you can plant lettuce sometimes, like under a trellis of cucumbers or something like that. Okay. But it's just like, you like when you do your seeding in the wintertime or in the springtime, however you want to say, or you put them on a heat mat for them to stay going. Same thing. You got to keep your seeds moist until they're germinated and they're up. You're going to have baby them still. So
they still need some warmth.
Yeah. So they still need the warmth, but you still got to baby them from the sun yet. And actually I've never planted cabbage, broccoli and stuff in the fall for the fall. So I'm going to try this year. And so we'll see what happens. Because I want to, because I have the green stock garden planters. And so I want to try some of those in there. And then I want to try to covering them. They can take a little bit of frost. Your brassicas.
Yeah, they're a little bit hardier.
So they can take frost. I have it written down here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Vegetables that can survive a light frost include beets, Chinese cabbage, cauliflower, celery, collard greens, onions, potatoes, bib and leaf lettuce, mustard, parsnips, radishes, spinach, and Swiss chards. And the flavor of some, such as collards, parsnips, is in fact much improved by exposure to spells of cold freezing temperatures.
That I knew.
Yeah, I think I'd heard that too.
I have read that
Never
before.
grown parsnips.
I was going to say I've never grown some of those. So.
And even hardier vegetables can survive temperatures as low as 20 degrees, which includes cabbage, broccoli, all your brassicas, carrots, kales, leeks, rutabagas, and turnips. And even upon thawing out, these hardy vegetables will continue to grow between freezes. I wouldn't imagine they'd grow much.
Right.
And if you mulch, the hardy ones too, if you mulch, you can keep them a long time, even into Minnesota weather. I've done it where I put a bale of straw over carrots that were planted in ground. I was digging them for Thanksgiving.
suppose as long as the ground doesn't
Yep.
freeze, that's
Yep.
the trick.
Yeah. Once the ground freezes, you can't get them out
Yeah, I was gonna say you would not be able to dig them anymore. But
here in Minnesota anyway.
Yeah.
But climates, like southern Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, even maybe anything along the Gulf Coast, I can imagine you could probably grow into December, maybe even.
yeah, I'm not sure when they stop their
Yeah.
gardening stuff in those states because, like, I have a friend in Louisiana, and she's harvesting tomatoes and peppers already.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she started them from seedlings. I honestly don't know, but she's had a couple blueberry crops already, and I was like, man,
Yeah. We don't have apples or anything.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see how the temperature and climate affects that type of thing, and we're just not used to having vegetables like that. And
Yeah.
you know,
My brother's girlfriend that lives in Arizona, she gardens year round, but she does it in straw bales because the soil is so sandy there. She can't get it to hold water. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
that's interesting.
So that's it. So that's how you figure out when to start. And
So you go to your very first frost date, and then you figure out what it is to maturity. So you're going backwards.
Yeah, you got to think backwards, not forward.
Backwards. Maturity, and then you got to figure out if you're growing up from a seedling or if they're a transplant.
Yeah. And then you add 1 to 2 weeks because it's fall and the days are getting shorter and it's getting cooler.
At least for Minnesota.
For Minnesota. I don't know about the rest of the world. Yeah.
I would assume North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
probably all the same kind of.
Yeah, I would think we're zone 4.
Yeah, we're kind of in that same area. Okay, so if I want to plant broccoli and cabbage for a fall crop, I need to, if I'm going to start with seeds, which around here you would never find plants.
No, you don't find plants.
I mean, I was just at our local farm store and they still have plants. There's still peppers and squash and all that stuff that you can buy as plants. But those are not going to be there much longer because usually those greenhouses are shut down by July 1st, maybe earlier.
Yeah, July 1st.
Yep. I would say they're close. So you're not going to find.
Because our little store in Kirkhoven, they're clearancing everything. All their plants are half price. I walk through there going, oh, do I have space? So that's when to plant.
Do I need to do anything special, like with the soil and everything? Do I need to do anything different? You had mentioned like putting mulch over the top to get your season to extend. Is there anything I need to do now? I mean, if I already harvested I got all my lettuces gone and everything because everything's going to bolt here. And so now do I prep that soil again so that I can put my cabbages in? And
you can need to, throw in some compost, some starter fertilizer or whatever you have access to. So you need to rejuvenate, especially if you're in a raised bed or a garden bed or a container like we are. So, because that soil the plant has used nutrients out of there. So I'm going to harvest something, clear out a spot in my raised bed. Then I'm going to sit and think, okay, what do I want to put back in there? What can I put back there and how much time? Is it just going to be a succession planting? I don't know if I'll plant radishes now, but okay, what can I put in there for this fall is the way I'm going to look at it this year. I'm going to try to do a better fall garden than I've done before in the past. I've done like radishes and lettuces, which is really easy because you can think about those Labor Day weekend yet and get it done and get something out of it.
Because they're such a short maturity thing.
But like beets, those are you're going to do from seeds too, but you need to start those because I've started those around Labor Day and I don't get anything but greens out of those. They don't produce a bulb.
And when you say start, you direct sowed those in your garden. So how early can we plant beet? I mean, could you plant beet seed now?
You could still, I'm going to still plant some.
Okay.
But they might. I don't know how. You got to watch them because they're a cool season crop, and you have to watch them, and they might get big and woody if you let them to go too long. So you just have to pick them. You just got to. It's like everything else. You just got to watch what you're doing. Because I'm going to plant carrots, even though carrots are technically fall crop or a spring crop. I'm still going to plant some right now. Okay. But then I'm going to still plant. When my onions come out, I'm going to plant some more over there.
All right. So while Jamie's taking a break,
Jamie's reading her notes.
Jamie's reading her notes. We are going to take a break here and hear from our sponsor.
Family-owned PetecoSupply.com brings small-town customer service to their online farm store. PetecoSupply.com specializes in automatic waterers from top brands such as Miraco, Jug, Franklin, Trojan, and Ritchie, as well as other products for your operation. Find your farm supplies and automatic waterers at peatcosupply.com. That's PETECO supply.com. Peatco Supply.
Okay, and we're back.
Yes. Generally speaking, here is some rule of thumbs for when to start. 10 to 12 weeks before the first frost is broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, carrots, and celery.
You said 12 weeks?
10 to 12 weeks, it
10
says.
to 12 weeks.
I was thinking I read that.
That's almost 3 months.
Yeah.
That's like 2.5, 3 months. Okay,
So
so we're in June.
Yeah, so what is it?
So
September, August, July. July.
Yep.
So 8 to 10 weeks before frost is arugula, Chinese cabbage, collards, kale, lettuce, mustard, greens, spinach, Swiss chard, and turnips. And then 6 to 8 weeks for beets and radishes. With
And
the one,
that's not what you've experienced.
no,
though.
not that's when the first year Bob went out to Sturgis that I planted some right when he was gone, I think, when they
Okay, that would have been August.
Yeah, that was the first part of August. And I still only I didn't
And,
get anything.
We might have had an odd growing year.
Yeah.
You don't always, if you don't always think about that, that might have been something. Maybe your soil wasn't good, or who knows.
That was before I started putting your compost on it.
okay.
Or your bunny
Yep,
rabbits.
Yep. Bunny poop.
Bunny poop.
Bunny poop.
Because it's really dark this year. I'm surprised how dark my soil and my raised boxes are.
Well, that's
and
good.
And that's the only thing different that I did last year is I put your bunny poop on it.
Yeah, and it takes a while for bunny poop to
Break down.
break down and everything.
Because now I look at it going, oh, do I want to put my hands in there? That's bunny poop. Here's some more tips for it. You want to mulch your beets, carrots, turnips, and parsnips before the ground freezes hard. Oh, that I already said this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tops may wilt, but the roots will survive. And you can, with the mulching and stuff. And actually, I've done kale where I've mulched it, and then I put like a hoop house just with, plastic, and I made PVC pipe, like a row cover.
Yep.
And actually, so then in the spring, I pulled the mulch back, and I already had kale growing. It survived our Minnesota winter.
Oh wow! And so you kept that tunnel.
Yep. So I had it mulched, and then I had a plastic cover over it,
and you left that there all winter.
And it survived. It came back in the spring.
And that was in ground or in your garden
No,
bed?
that was in ground.
Okay, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
If you have a raised bed.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. I might try that this year and see what I get.
Yeah,
it
doesn't really cost you a whole lot.
No, I mean, I already got the plastic and the I use PVC pipes. Then I stick it down just in the dirt, and that's my hoop house. With fast maturing crops such as lettuce, hardy greens, stagger small plantings every few weeks. So you could start. I would maybe start August. You could, so you're doing succession planting. But they're not bolting like they would this time of year. You gotta watch your lettuce and your spinach and everything really close this time of year and stuff. I am going to try some, but I'm going to try it in a green stock in the shade and see what I can get out of it.
Okay, here I have a question about your green stock. So now when you decide to harvest I was thinking you had cabbage growing in.
I have kohlrabi growing.
Okay, so when you take that kohlrabi out of there, then what are you going to do with that? What you can put in there instead?
I don't know. Well, if it, that's the one that's in the, it's going to be
a cool one.
Yeah, it's going to be
it's going to take longer.
Well, right now I have it in the shade, but I'm gonna when I pull the kohlrabi out, I'm going to try to put lettuce in there. And
so you're kind of looking at a fall crop then.
Yeah, in that already.
Those.
But I'm going to try to see how long I can keep it over the hot summer.
Okay.
If I can still keep getting lettuce out of it, radishes every now and then. Mm-hmm. But it's like you're only putting 3. Each pocket only has 3 plants in it of lettuce and radishes. So that's not.
Yeah, you're not getting a bumper crop or
No,
anything like that.
No.
But
and that's fine. I'm the only one that eats lettuce out of the garden and radishes out of the garden in our house. So it's like,
well, that's perfect for you.
Yeah,
then. Yeah.
And if I stagger the pockets, if I plant 2 pockets a week, I should theoretically be enough for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Trying to read my notes as I'm talking.
Right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about. We have made contact with 4jars.com, and they are sending us some product for us to try. I know Jill from the Prairie Homestead has tried these, and she really likes them. So we are going to be, when our gardens start producing here, although you said you might do some jam.
Yes.
So those.
You got rhubarb coming in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got to go over to your house and pick some rhubarb
Oh,
too.
so it wasn't you.
No, I have not
Somebody's
been
picked
there.
some.
Oh no, I have not been there. But anyway, so if you want to check out forjars.com, and that's FOR jars.com, they make a canning lid that's a little bit heavier than your ball and cur lids. We're going to give them a try.
They got
In our
thicker
kitchen.
rubber, don't they?
I think so. I've been hearing really, really good reviews on them.
I have too.
Yeah, and so it's a chance to give that a try, and we're going to see how their product works. And I'm hearing that people have very, very little fails with the
that would be
canning, with the
nice.
sealing.
Back to,
Gardening.
even though you're thinking falls, most of the bugs are starting to, population starting to go down.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to think about your pest that would pick on your gardens, so you still have to think about, your cabbage moth, cutworms,
Okay.
and those you still have to take, there's less of them, but you still have to watch for them and be prepared to do what you need to do to combat those things.
How do you combat them?
Now, since I went to raised beds, I don't have cutworms anymore,
Okay.
and I quit growing cabbage, so I wouldn't have to mess with the moth. But I am going to try to, once I pull my onions out, that's what I want to put cabbage in there too,
Okay.
because I'll make sauerkraut or something with it. But like my kohlrabi, they always get eaten. So I'm going to try a row cover. I seen a bird netting that looks kind of gauzy. I want to put that around there because all my kohlrabi's on the bottom of my green stock. And so I'm going to try to wrap like a blanket or something around them to keep the cabbage moth off. For like cutworms, what I used to do with my cutworms, I would save my toilet paper rolls
Okay.
and cut little collars. You cut them in like little, 3-inch, probably cut them in half, and then cut the tube open and slip them around your plant. And then I would stick them down in the dirt
Okay.
so that they I don't know if
Where
they
cutworms come from the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
That they would eat my tomatoes.
So do they eat the root? Is that, or
No, they cut it.
They cut it off.
They cut it off at ground level.
Oh, okay. See, I've never
so all
experienced
of a-
cutworms. So
So all of a
okay.
sudden your pepper plant or your tomato plant will just tip over, and it's like, okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
gotta be frustrating.
It was so frustrating. And then it said here about aluminum foil to make a collar with aluminum foil too. I suppose they can't.
Yeah, I suppose they can't.
So maybe if you take the toilet paper roll and cover it with aluminum foil,
maybe
yeah, it would make, because the aluminum foil or the cardboard is going to break down.
right.
And then the aluminum foil you have to pick out when you're cleaning.
Yeah, I was gonna say you make sure you remove that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those things I would remove it because it would. Because every now and then you'll find one of those stickers from your
Yep.
fruit in
Yep.
your compost, and I was like, oh, yeah. It's like I just found one today, and I was like, what is that? Oh, that's a sticker off something.
Well, they say those stickers are edible. Did you know that?
Seriously?
Yep.
I'm not eating one.
I'm not eating one either. But I have read that. I read it on the internet. Must be true.
It must be true. Yes. So, this is probably going to be our shortest podcast we've done to date yet. Because it's really, because a lot of what everything we did for the spring, starting seeds and spring garden, basically you're doing now.
You just got to get your timing right.
Yeah.
And same thing in the spring. I mean, when you're doing your seeds,
Yep.
you just kind of have to get your timing right there too.
And I messed my spring timing up because I was like we've got like feet of snow. It's going to take forever.
And it was gone.
And it was gone.
In days. It was gone. Yeah. And, and you never know. I mean, you could get an early frost too,
Yep.
and
Oh yeah. One year I remember it frosted in August. It was a very light, it was like 33 degrees. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, we had frost. I know when we put grapes in out here on the farm, and we got hit with frost like September 1st, and it killed a lot of those first year grapes because we had just planted them. And that took care of them real quick. So yes, you can have that happen.
Yeah, you have those freaky.
Yeah, so
because
you just plant and hope for the best, right?
When they say average, it's average, and they say October is our average first frost. September. I always think about the middle of September.
Yep, so do I.
I'm always prepared to bring out all the sheets and everything to cover the tomatoes because we'll have that one night that it's frost, or maybe 2 nights that it frosts. But then it warms up, and it can go into October.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you got to know your weather and not be shocked.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's like, oh, Okay, let's go with you. Just got to be prepared.
For a fall garden, is there any, do you water differently at all, or?
No, it's still a thing. You just got it. Well, when you're seeding, if you're starting from seed, you got to make sure it stays wet because once the seed gets wet and it starts to germinate, and if it dries out, it's gone. And so you need to keep your seeds moist, not drenched, and so that they will germinate. Carrots are the hardest for me to germinate. I mean, they are really picky about the drying out thing.
Yeah. See, I watched somebody and she put her seed down in her raised bed and then she put a plank over the top of it.
I just read that.
Keep it wet. She watered it and everything. She put the plank down. I don't remember how long she left the plank there. But she picked it up and there's all her little seedlings.
I'd heard, or a gunny sack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have a gunny sack.
Yeah, they say carrots are a trick to grow.
Last year I got them to grow, but even when I had an in-ground garden, they were tough to get up and get going.
Yeah, I don't remember my mom ever having problems. We always had carrots.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I don't know. I couldn't grow them when I tried. I didn't have much success, so
I always thought it was bad seeds.
Yeah, that's what I blamed it on too. So got bad seeds. Can't be the gardener. No.
No. We know everything. So that's really fall gardening in a nutshell.
It's just that you don't want to be planting thinking you're going to have tomatoes. You don't want to be. You need to make sure you're doing your cool season crops, and I mean, at least in our environment.
If you're fortunate to live in zone 8 and up, 8, 9, 10, 11, I think Florida's got to. I mean, yes, you could start a fall crop of tomatoes and peppers and have them go through probably till spring. And if you're fortunate to live down there in one of those zones, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't understand how to garden there. That I wouldn't be able to figure it out.
Us northern people.
Yes, us northern people. We're used to our little short times.
Yeah, we're so rushed. We're so rushed. We always feel so rushed in our garden.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and so
you're like trying to get everything in, and
then somebody goes, "You want to go do this?" And I'm like, "Sure, we'll go do that." And I'm thinking, "When can I get this done?" And it's like you just ad lib.
Yep.
Yeah, I go with the flow.
All right. Okay. Anything else that you can think of?
As soon as we shut off the mic, I will.
Yeah, you probably. The big thing now is that we're waiting to be able to start harvesting. Because as far as I know, you have not harvested anything besides rhubarb,
asparagus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I've harvested.
And that's probably about all you get here, especially if you started with seeds.
Yeah.
And I suppose it lettuces and stuff. My friend Heather was harvesting her lettuce and her. I don't know. She grows a lot of more of those odd lettuces and greens and stuff. They eat a lot of greens in her household, and so she has a lot of weird ones I've never heard of. I can't even think of any.
Well, I had to replant my lettuce. It didn't grow. I looked at my seed. It was a 2009 packet. So,
well, that might be part of your problem.
So I replanted it last week, and I just looked this morning, and it's like, oh, they're growing.
Yeah, and you said your potatoes had come up too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then because they sit on the outer back door that we never use, but it's right on the corner of a roof that doesn't have a gutter, and it washed one of them out.
Oh no!
And so I got to think. I have 4 pots, and I planted 3 potatoes in each one. One didn't grow. I reached down and thought, okay, is that one I buried too deep? Because that was what I was thinking. I thought, oh no, I think I buried them too deep. But they came up. Because I went digging for them. It's like, oh no, they're growing. So, but then I went down and I dug in the potato, and it was just mush, and it was like, oh. And it smelled really bad.
Mushy potatoes are not fun.
So I'm thinking, can I go buy a potato? I think I'm going to go to because my little grocery store had seed potatoes.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go buy a potato.
I'll just take one. Thank you.
I take one potato to put in that one spot.
Okay, yeah, and you had brought over some of your seedlings for me, peppers and tomatoes. And I actually have 2 jalapeno peppers growing on my plant.
I did not see that when I brought it to you.
Yeah, they had to be there. I can't believe that they weren't, but I was like, I planted them. I transplanted them into a bigger pot, this one single plant, and I watered it. I come back the next morning and there's 2 little peppers on it, and I was like, where'd they come from?
Magic. Yeah, I noticed that my jalapenos were blooming.
Okay.
I didn't really look close enough.
I was going to say this one probably had bloomed and those blossoms had come off, and I just didn't see it under a leaf. I swear it was not there.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy.
Like, yay.
Yay. Yep. And
The ones that I bought, because the jalapenos I planted did not, none of it, I planted them twice and they did not grow. Might have to look at the data on those seeds.
Yeah, you might want to get a fresh pack.
Because I do keep my seeds until
I did too.
Until they're pretty much gone, until it's like, okay, I'm not getting germination, then I'll toss them. But then I had beets like that too. I had a pack of beets that none of them grew.
Oh, okay.
In my green stock, and I'm like going, oh, okay. Yeah,
it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, then you got to stow it. So that sets you back about 2 weeks. Because you got to wait 7 to 14 days to see if it germinates.
Works. Yep. Have you ever thought of on those seeds where you're questioning if they'll germinate? If you wet a paper towel, put them in a paper towel, put them in a Ziploc bag, and put them in the window and leave them for a couple of days and see if they'll germinate.
I've seen that, but you'd have to notice how old they are when you're planting them.
You don't notice until after they don't germinate.
Why aren't they growing? And then you invest like, oh, those seeds are 2009. Okay. Because a pack of lettuce seeds last you.
I was going to say.
When you're the only person that'll eat leaf lettuce and you're only planting 1 to 2 squares, in the spring and then 1 to 2 squares in the fall, they last you a very long time.
I was going to say same thing like with zucchini.
Oh yeah,
because you really only need to plant 1 seed, 2 at the most. For most people. Now, some people probably do a lot of freezing and all that kind of stuff. But
that was cucumbers. I didn't look at the date, but I mean, I planted 8 seeds, 2 per squares. It was supposed to be 1 plant per square in square foot gardening, and so I planted 2 seeds. Hoping to grow.
Yeah.
And so to guarantee that I'd get, and so it's like, but I think this is the second year that I planted out that packet, and there's still probably enough there for 2 more years.
Yeah. Sometimes with the seeds, it's like, but you don't want to waste them.
No.
Don't want to waste them.
Unless you really hated the plant.
Yeah. Unless you're like, well, that's okay. I don't want to grow that ever again.
Well, that was a certain bean a few years ago. They were pole beans, grew way taller than I am.
Yep, they can.
And then the beans were like really long, and I thought if you did not get them on time, they got chewy and tough.
Yep.
And I thought
pole beans are tricky.
And I thought, no, we're not growing them. I don't know what kind they were, but I threw those away.
If you don't like them, you should not grow them. You said that before.
Yeah.
Don't plant something that you don't intend on eating or canning or whatever. You need to make sure you plan for that so that you're not wasting your time and wasting your precious garden space.
Yeah, especially if you have a small garden space like I do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, or even smaller than you've got even less space than I do.
Because I just got containers.
Yeah,
I just got pots.
Even though you have acres out here.
Yeah, I have acres out here, but they're used for other things. And I do have free range chickens out here.
That will help themselves.
Yeah, they will help themselves to anything. They leave my cactus alone. I have cactus sitting down by the barn, and they leave that alone.
I wonder if they tried to.
I have no idea. But yeah, they leave the cactus alone. So maybe if I surrounded the garden by
cactus. There we go. Now I have seen it because I have the neighbor's kitty has come visited my garden.
Oh, she's adding a little fertilizer, or he.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But I'd heard that where you could take like plastic forks and stick them if you have animals digging in your garden boxes to stick them up with the prongs up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd get myself stabbed.
That's what I thought too. I thought, who would get stabbed? Jamie would.
Yeah, I would end up forgetting that they were there, or being careless and getting myself.
Well, at least I wouldn't be walking barefoot in.
Yeah, in your raised beds, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Yeah,
but I put chicken wire up.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah, so far.
Okay.
Yeah, so far I haven't found anything. Okay. So it must not want to jump the 4 feet.
It's a lazy cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about fall gardening.
I've only done it a few times. And of course, how do you learn? You teach. Take what a little experience I know and let's research it. And actually, don't just go on what I said. There's plenty more out there, because I was looking at about 4 or 5 different websites, and it's like, okay, how do you pull all of this together? And so I tried to do that, but there's gobs of YouTube. Actually, the formula for this, Epic Gardener had an awesome video, 10-minute video, I think it was, of how to figure it out when to plant when. Where he had the whiteboard, wrote it out and everything, and it's like, that's when I went, I understand it now.
So that's good when you have resources like that. The internet is
You know, you
So
don't even have
nice.
to go to the library anymore. I learned everything from books from the library, but now you can just like, oh, you have an idea, you sit down and you can start research.
Yeah, it's really easy. The internet makes that process so much
How did we ever make it
simpler.
through high school and college?
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, man, you had to know where to look.
You had to
Now
know.
you can just type it in Google and ask, and she gives you a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, she gives the pages of where to look.
I think that's it. I
That's
think
it.
we've
We're
got it. Yeah,
Minnesota goodbye.
Yeah, we're gonna be done and make it easy for editing here. So until next time, happy gardening.
Thank you for listening to the Homestead Podcast's latest episode. Your hosts, Carol Radke and Jamie Kappas, are Two Gals Homesteading. To learn more, go to twogalshomesteading.com or the Two Gals Homesteading Facebook page at facebook.com/twogalshomesteading. Editing, audio production, and marketing of the Homestead Podcast is the responsibility of Media Transx. The Homestead Podcast is an audio product of Media Transx, a limited liability company, based in Minnesota, USA.
We'd like to give a special thank you to pecosupply.com for sponsoring our podcast.